Hello, and welcome back to our playthrough of Escape Velocity Nova. We are going to be continuing with the Polaris storyline. So, we last left off, I believe we are on, yes, Ory'Hara in the Muhari system. And we were, did we get the next mission yet? Indeed we did, to go open diplomatic talks with the rebels. And that's exactly what we're going to do. And now that we have our wonderful multi-jump organ, we can do so in very short order. I'm just going to go through Wraith Space, because, one, it's interesting, and two, with the multi-jump organ, we do not have to be as concerned about being stuck in a Wraith system and getting blown up by their terrifying ships. So it shouldn't take too long to get there. I expect it's going to be about, Of course we make the stopover in one of the two populated Wraith systems, but hey, what can you do? So this is a little bit interesting. They have the Crypt Pod in this system. Now, we're not going to get any response from the Crypt Pod, but make a mental note of that for later. Alright, so upon landing, you are given a semi-official welcome by Dr. Pentecost and General Smart. Welcome back, Ory'Hara, begins Dr. Pentecost formally. We apologize for the lack of ceremony, but we were only made aware of your approach when our sensors picked you up entering the system. You wave Wave's apology, telling him that it does not matter. Would you care to accompany us to a more private place to talk? Asks General Smart, taking over, and you nod and ask him to lead on. Three of you make your way to an empty office above that of the Dockmaster. So how can we help you? Asks Dr. Pentecost after you sit down. You quickly explain that the Polaris have managed to verify many of the claims that they had made against the Bureau, after a great deal of searching inside Federation space. The Bureau certainly knows how to go about hiding its dirty laundry. General Smart nods in acknowledgement of the difficulty in investigating the Bureau. But that still doesn't explain why you're here. With a slight grin, you tell them that you have been authorized by the Polaris government to make an offer of open diplomatic ties with the rebellion. After summarizing the terms of the offer, you add that the Polaris are more than prepared to allow the rebels to continue producing the Dragon ships, and that they are willing to release the original plans to them to help in making them more combat capable. Both rebel leaders have the good grace to look a little sheepish. Well, this is good news, exclaims Dr. Pentecost with a genuine smile, after recovering from his momentary embarrassment. We would definitely like to open diplomatic ties with the Polaris, and the terms don't seem to be unreasonable. However, we cannot make this decision without talking to our fellow rebel leaders, and we will need a couple of hours to talk to them all. If you could wait for us in the bar, we will have our answer for you in, say, 2 hours? You nod your head in agreement and take your leave of them. So, things are getting formalized. As you sit quietly sipping your second drink, with your new powers of observation, you sense the imminent arrival of Dr. Pentecost and General Smart. When they enter the room together, you can tell by the weaves around them that they're both very happy. You guess that the rebels are excited that someone has not only independently corroborated their findings, but is prepared to help them in their struggle against the Bureau. As the two of them walk over to you, you sense that everybody in the bar has turned their attention to you. We have spoken to the rest of the rebel leaders, Dr. Pentecost begins formally, and we have decided by unanimous vote to accept the Polaris offer to open diplomatic talks. The first ambassador will be Dr. Pentecost himself. General Smart takes over. Once he has set up our embassy, he will be replaced as he is far too valuable to our cause to be away for too long. Well, I'm ready to leave as soon as we can. Shall we launch? Dr. Pentecost asks you seriously. Without batting an eyelid, you answer that the Polaris are prepared to begin whenever the rebels are ready. Then can you pass a message on to them that we will need a few guides, he replies quietly, to show us the way to and from the Polaris capital. You smile and ask if it would be possible for the lead elements of the embassy be loaded aboard your ship, and that a rebel ship follow you from here to Kalari in the Kalari system. Good idea, agrees General Smart before turning to Dr. Pentecost. How long until you can be ready to leave with what you need to start putting together the embassy? A few hours, Dr. Pentecost replies. No more. You stand up and say that you'll be waiting on board your ship to help with the loading of his equipment. With a nod to the two rebel leaders and a quick look around to the rest of the patrons, you head out of the bar, aware from the weaves emanating from everyone in the room that they are all very happy with the outcome of the impromptu meeting. And knowing Geoff Daniels, as he is known in the rebellion, but Frandle, as we all know him, all those people in the bar are probably rebel operatives. Or explicit rebel intelligence operatives, I should say. So here we do have a rebel dragon, which is the attractive green variant of our beloved purple dragon. And true to form, this is the escort that's going to follow us to the Polaris capital. And instead of our Polaris North Star emblem, it has the emblem of the rebellion, which is this, I'm not even sure what it's supposed to be. It's a very abstract logo, but it's not unattractive. We do not wish to fight the Federation military. However, while it supports the Bureau, we must oppose them. Yeah, that's in fitting with their claim that they are rebelling merely against the Bureau of Internal Investigation and not against the Federation as a whole. Alright, so we'll just take the southern route this time, just because variety is nice, and we don't want to go right through the Hauditania system again. Because believe it or not, even with a Polaris ship, they will tear you apart. I have to say, I love the multi-jump organ. Alright. You are met by Bissandrea and the heads of the 5 castes as you escort Dr. Pentecost off your ship. We have been sickened upon discovering some of the actions undertaken in the name of the Bureau, announces Bissandrea in an official tone after you make the initial introductions. And we make a pledge to support you in your fight against this evil organization. I can only express the overwhelming gratitude of everybody in the rebel cause, Dr. Pentecost answers with humility, that the mighty and somewhat mysterious Polaris have, of their own accord, decided to aid us. We will strive to be worthy of your support. After a few more official, yet short, speeches of welcome, Bissandrea turns to you. It seems day by day that we are coming to depend on you more, she says shrewdly. The longer you wear the name Ory'Hara, the more it suits you. Regardless, she continues quietly, we thank you for your services to the Polaris people. Let's see if we actually get paid for this. We do. We get paid a cool, what was that, 100,000? I am certainly alright with that. Alright, so I believe we're coming up on the part where we actually go and deal with the Nilkamoria. I believe we picked this up from Ory'Hara planet in the Muhari system. I'll just call it the Muhari homeworld, because honestly, saying Ory'Hara is just really awkward. Hey, look at that. As you absent-mindedly go through your post-flight routine, you find yourself concentrating on observing the ebb and flows of the universe when you sense a familiar presence approaching. You turn around and see a grinning Pagena coming towards you. Ory'Hara, it is good to see you again, he says, happy in his bookish way. I've been trying to find you for some time now. You shake his hand and invite him to sit down, asking him what is so important he has been trying to chase you down. Well, he begins quietly, we've been going over the sensor logs from your mission to the rebels, and we have found something we believe needs more attention. I was wondering if you could help us out again. Of course we can. We noticed an odd-looking ship that appeared in the Korea system, Pagena explains in his quiet voice. You may remember it as being identified as a crypt pod. Anyway, we've been trying to identify it ever since we learned about it, he continues thoughtfully. Unfortunately, the only reference to crypt we have found comes from some of our most ancient archives referring to a group of Vell-os that we dealt with when they rescued us from the Colonial Council nearly 7 centuries ago. So we want you to go and see the Vell-os who is posted to the Kane University on Earth, Jenna concludes slowly. I believe his name is Lyril, and ask him if he can help us with our inquiries. Once you have done that, meet me on Pa'arid, and we will talk further. You tell him that you'd be glad to help him uncover this mystery, shake his hand, and head back to your ship to be preparing for the long trip to Earth. You cannot help but wonder if Lyril is the Vell-os you met all that time ago in Seoul. So the last paragraph there is unique to getting into this via the refusal of the Vell-os storyline, and otherwise you would not reference having met a Vell-os in Seoul, obviously. Okay, so we should be able to make this in just 2 jumps with our lovely multi-jump organ. And then we can see if Lyril has anything for us. Those of you who have watched the Vell-os storyline should be very familiar with Lyril. Alright, nothing of particular interest in the system. No Vell-os ships or anything. After going through your post-flight routine, you head off to find the campus of the Kane University. After a little over an hour of searching, you find it. Another hour and you're standing in the center for Vell-os studies, wondering what to do next. As you look around, you sense the currents move around you in a strange way, somehow indicating a mind more in touch with the weaves of life than your own. You turn and see the traditional long hair and fair limbs of the very same Vell-os who directed you towards Auroran space all that time ago, striding down the corridor towards you. He suddenly looks at you curiously. It is good to see you again, Ory'Hara. He greets you almost reverently. When I first met you, I thought you might be the one, but now that I have seen you again, I am certain. You nod your head in recognition of your greeting, trying to mask the slightly confused whirl of questions going through your mind. It is good to learn the Polaris still remember the legend we gave them all those centuries ago. He smiles knowingly at your confusion. As you already know, Ory'Hara is a Polaris adaptation of a Vell-os concept. To us, the word translates roughly as the guardian spirit that lies beneath the currents of life. But of course, it is very difficult to put words to our telepathic thoughts with any accuracy. To the Polaris, you are going to become some mythical figure who will reunite humanity. We know that both are true, but we are unsure of exactly how. You open your mouth to tell him of your purpose, but he holds up a hand stopping you in your tracks. I know why you're here, he tells you quietly. Meet me in the bar in 2 hours, and we shall talk further. Well, Lyril, man of mystery. You sense rather than see the long-haired Vell-os walking to the bar. He indicates that you should follow him, and you quickly get up and rush out the front door after him. You sense someone starting a battle flow, and you duck aside the last instant and try to dance between the weaves suddenly being weaved around you. You and your opponent dance around each other in what appears to bystanders to be a dervish of destruction, and you seem to be gaining the upper hand, sliding comfortably between his weaves. Suddenly your opponent strides in between his own weaves, and you find yourself lying flat on the ground, unable to breathe. You look up to see the Vell-os looking down at you smiling. You have a great deal of skill, he compliments you. I was forced to use my telepathic abilities to merge with the spirit of the universe for a moment. You have learned much. I think that you might be the one who will do what is necessary to help us into the Veil. Come, we will talk more in my private rooms. There's a lot of talking here, Lyril. After a short walk, he leads you to his private apartment, and you both sit down. We are aware of the crypt mind that overwhelms much of the galactic northwest, he begins quietly. Unfortunately, it is a mind of enormous intelligence and curiosity, but little moral compunction. Every Vell-os who has attempted to make contact with it has been attacked and overwhelmed by the nanite pods that are its physical form. To this day, we do not know why. You tell Lyril that the Payet were wondering if the crypt had something to do with some Vell-os that the Polaris dealt with centuries ago. You mean the Cryptoch, he mutters, nodding thoughtfully. It is possible. They were the focus of our entire race. In a way, you could say that they were our leaders. They disappeared from our memory just before the end of the war. What happened to them, we do not know. Anyway, I hope that helps, he tells you quietly. Perhaps it will lead you to further understanding. I wish you well, Ory'Hara. So I have to imagine he will be reporting us to the Bureau, as all the Vell-os are conditioned to do. And so let's see if that is the case. Yeah, it is. Alright. So we have quite the Federation presence here coming after us, and we're going to blow him up. Oh, it is good to be Polaris, isn't it? Alright. And just to prove that we couldn't do much with these guys anyway, we'll board this Federation scout ship. The other Federation ship seems to have thought better of tangling with us, but I believe this will be unboardable. Just have to get close enough. There we go. Yep, you can't board this ship. Alright, so let's head on back to Miranda and see what she has to say about this. So, Lyril has been, I wouldn't say super helpful. He's pretty much said, yeah, that's a thing, and indicated that they might be able to be found in the galactic northwest. Oh, so there's the rest of that Federation force. For some reason, they just weren't hostile to us. It's interesting. Anyway, let's see if we can get something in the bar here. No. Oh, I remember. They want us to go to the engineer homeworld. That's right. I have a memory longer than a goldfish, I promise. And we'll see if they have any thoughts about how to handle this cryptopod phenomena. Okay. You find Pagena and a small group of his colleagues waiting for you when you stub off your ship. You are introduced and you exchange greetings with all of them. So what did Lyril say? Asks Pagena, clearly excited in his bookish way. Could he shed any light on the subject of the crypt pods? You reply that he may have. To allay their confusion, you go into more detail regarding your conversation with the Vell-os, telling them of the Cryptoch and how they disappeared just before the end of the Vell-os War, and how the crypt attacks and overwhelms every Vell-os who attempts contact. This is very interesting, comments Pagena when you finish. We will need some time to run an analysis of some of the most likely scenarios, but I doubt we have enough information to reach any kind of conclusion. Keep an eye out in the bar here. I don't doubt that we'll be needing your services again, Ory'Hara. And we'll do exactly that. Okay. So we kind of got a double feature here, because this is another thing where they're talking about you're going through your post-flight routine and stepping out of your ship. Sometimes that happens. So, do this. As you go through your post-flight routine, with your new powers of observation, you expand your awareness out into the space around your ship, and you immediately sense the familiar echoes that indicate that Miranda is waiting for you outside. When you finally finish, you head out to talk with her. I see that you are still practicing, she smiles, but you sense a cautionary note beneath her facade, and you bring into being a weave indicating your curiosity. Those of us who have learned to at least guide our own weaves after a period of learning choose to control our weaves so as not to overly influence those around us. You suddenly understand that she is not here to send you on another mission, but she is concerned about your training and your well-being. That's right, she answers gently, but I'm not the only one. Many Polarans are worried that you cannot continue learning at the rate you are without at least a little guidance and help. Are you prepared to listen to some advice? No! Yeah, sure. Nobody knows more about all aspects of martial arts and the spirituality behind them than the Nilkamoria, Miranda explains. Your talents are so great that nobody else could hope to keep up with you. The head of the Warriors Physical Combat School is asked if he could have the honor of training you. His name is Arando, and if anyone could train you to your maximum potential, it would be him. The Warriors have a tradition of physical challenges, and in 70 years, nobody has ever bested him in any form of physical combat. He lives in a mountain range on the warrior caste homeworld, she continues, where he trains his students, who are those who have been chosen to be the next generation of masters in the 3 warrior caste training worlds. You'll be waiting for your arrival. Your time with him will be hard, Miranda breathes quietly, and you sense her thoughts are far away from the present. But you will not learn more from anyone else. It kind of indicates that she trained with him. We are going to take off and land again here, just to make sure that we're not missing out anything with the scientists, but it does not appear to be the case. So let's go and meet the old Kung Fu master on the mountain range, because, yeah, I'm fairly certain that's the inspiration here. Of course, he is in the Nilkamoria system, and we can read the blurb about the Nilkamoria. Well, some ship just got absolutely dusted. Ooh, it's La'uso. Hello, La'usa. Decisions of the Leaf, Where to Fall. So that's going into their warrior ethos, which will be explained more when I read this blurb. As soon as you land, you're met by a grey-cloaked Nilkamoria named Drengar, who takes you to the Arando Mountain Retreat. You learn that he is one of Arando's students, and you are soon introduced to Arando himself. I've heard much about you, Ory'Hara, rumbles the surprisingly small Arando, looking you over with his faded brown-grey eyes. I am greatly honored that you have thought me worthy to teach you. I will work hard to live up to that honor. Over the following months, you learn that this man is a master among masters. All of his students are well on their way to becoming masters in their own right, and at the start you are hopelessly outclassed by all of them. As days turned into weeks, and weeks into months, you can see the constant effects of the physical and mental training start to pay off. Soon you are picking up the weaves of some of Arando's students before they themselves do, and in no time you're beginning to hold your own. Cool. However, you soon realize that your abilities differ from everyone here. They fight by weaving increasingly complex patterns around each other until a mistake is made. And while you become highly proficient at this, you soon learn that your talents go beyond theirs. Almost intuitively, you start dancing into the unaffected spaces between their weaves, and before long, only Arando himself, whose weaves are so complex that the space around him is nearly filled with his spirit, can beat you. Your view of the universe is different from mine, he muses to you after training one day. I create my weaves out around me, extending my awareness, and so bending the universe to my will. But your awareness seems to lend itself to bending with the universe, so that it becomes an extension of you or you of it. I think perhaps you should leave here, he tells you thoughtfully. I cannot guide you towards the questions you must ask, so you must search for them yourself. And I need some time to discover their answers. Alright, Arando. Suit yourself, I guess. So, there we go. It's kind of reminiscent of the same training we did with the Auroran Master back during the Auroran campaign. Go check out that playlist on the channel. But we have gone and trained with the ancient martial arts master, and now we are a lean, mean fighting machine. So let's read the blurb for Nil-ar Camoria. Nil Camoria, the name given to the warrior caste, is a difficult word to translate into basic. When used while referring to weather or season, it conveys a sense of autumn, or a slight chill in the air, of gloriously blazing trees, and of falling leaves. When talking of members of the warrior caste, Nil Camoria symbolizes those beautifully colored autumn leaves that have left the tree but have yet to reach the ground. The Nil Camoria are considered to have already lost their lives, as their lives are given to the protection of the Polaris people. They are waiting for the reality of death, much like the autumn leaves fall, riding the chill autumn breeze so that the tree might survive the coming winter. Because of this, the Nil Camoria have no fear of falling in battle, and sortie out again and again, knowing that by doing so, they are giving their loss of life increasing value. This is their homeworld. So they are not dissimilar to the warrior caste in Auroran space, in that they kind of give themselves completely to their martial training. Now, we also have access to the new Wraith Cannon, which can be fired while cloaked, and we're going to trade up our Wraith Cannons we have currently for those, because who wouldn't want to fire while cloaked? I mean, it's great. I think we can use our old Wraith Eye with it just fine. Yeah, we'll be okay. We are going to buy the maximum amount we can of these as well, just so we have an absurd number of Wraith Eye. More than we would usually be allowed. So let's go back to Mohari and see if we can meet up again with Miranda. Or actually, I have a better idea. Let's go up to the engineers and scientists and see if we can hang out in the bar there like they told us to. Ah, I can follow basic directions. It seems like that's paying off for us. Oh, and Master Rondo teleported. Okay. You are surprised to sense Master Rondo waiting for you as you bring your ship into dock. The weaves around him suggest a deliberate sense of urgency. You quickly go through your post-flight routine and head out to speak with him. It appears that a large fleet of Auroran ships is attempting to smash through our borders, he informs you quietly. I think that it might be beneficial for your training if you participated in the defense of our nation. Are you willing to risk your life for our people? He asks seriously, his weaves showing his desire for you to do so. I mean, we've already done this with defending against Federation, so of course we are. Once again, you've lived up to your name, Ory'Hara, he comments shrewdly, proving your worth to the Polaris people. Our long-range sensor readings show that this fleet will reach the Nil-Ikros system soon, he informs you solemnly. And while in many ways we admire the Auroran warrior ethic, we know that they respect strength above all else. If we do not drive them off decisively, it would only make them try harder. So make sure that none of their ships escape from the field of battle, he concludes plainly. And when you are finished, return here. Return here to this world? Okay. I suspect he actually means to the warrior homeworld. No, he means return here. Okay, sure. A little bit surprised by that. So let's hang out in this system, and then we'll jump in and deal with the Aurorans. We have plenty of Wraith Eye, so... and we can even fire it while cloaked now, so we can show off that. And you can see just how absurd weapons that can fire while cloaked are. The one caveat is we can't get stuck in a crossfire because that will uncloak us. And it's pretty bad to be uncloaked when you're losing shield due to being cloaked. Yeah, so there we've been uncloaked. That's fine, because they're pretty broken already. Let's try to get behind the cruiser so we can run the battle, as it were. Oh, we've been destroyed. Man, I think it's the case where I'm so used to playing the Auroran campaign at this point, I expect to have tons of hull to lean on. And then I just don't. So, anyway. Let's try that again, but without cloaking. Just because I think that'd be more fun. So we're going to wait. There's the Auroran fleet. We're actually going to try to draw fire, and that way the Scarabs and Arachnids can get up behind them. Yeah. And let's strafe in, and around, and around. Just keep going around so they can't face us for long enough to really effectively fire. Well, there we go. No Camoria Fleet Master, the Aurorans have been turned back. Thank you, Ory'Hara. so that is sufficient for the mission. Let's touch down, because we are a little bit worse for wear as a result. But not too bad. Nothing else cool. Let's try to refresh our Wraitheye. We can't, I suspect, because it's going to treat these new Wraitheye as the de facto ones to prevent us from getting absurd amounts of Wraitheye. What a shame. I love getting absurd amounts of Wraitheye. It is worth noting that if you've done the Glee Tech, or the Glimmer Tech missions before this, you can actually get both variations of Wraitheye. They're counted separately, which will allow you to further artificially increase your Wraitheye count. And who wouldn't want that? I mean, they're amazing. The time has finally come. You find yourself almost waking up as you fly into dock. You become so involved in the ebb and flow of battle that you lost all sense of self and started to become one with the fabric of the universe. The weaves being created by both sides had almost no meaning for you as you casually slipped between them all, somehow fading into the universe. I think we were in different fights. Master Rando looks deep into your eyes as you exit your ship. I see that you are learning some of the answers I could not give you. He nods thoughtfully. This is what I had hoped. He shakes his head before quietly smiling. His face is full of solemn pride in you. Now that you have showed that you're willing to risk death for the Polaris people, he informs you with quiet happiness, the Nilkamoria have accepted you as being Ory'Hara, and are willing to allow you access to all of their technology and ships, even the Scarab. Well done. I look forward to meeting you again when the next opportunity to continue your training arrives. Alright, so there we go. We have access to the full battery now. So let's go get a Scarab before we continue this, just because it's fun to show off. I think the best place to do that is probably going to be Muhari, or possibly one of the Nilkamoria systems. But we're going to try Muhari first. Let's see if it's here. Well, I guess we're going to actually get the next mission. Only by a sudden whiff of stillness do you sense Master Rondo before you spot him as you exit your ship. Once again, you are amazed at his mastery of the space around him, as only your ability to slip between the weaves of life around you enabled you to detect his presence nearby. It appears that another large fleet of Auroran ships is attempting to prove themselves against us, he informs you quietly. I think that is another good opportunity to continue your training. Are you willing once again to risk your life for our people? He asks seriously, his weave exactly matching those of the universe around him as to completely mask his feelings. Yeah, of course we are. You are a true warrior, Ory'Hara, he tells you with quiet admiration. You have shown that your life is worth less than the safety of the Polaris people. We believe that this fleet will reach the Nilkamoria system within the next several days, he informs you solemnly. We can admire the Auroran warriors in their efforts to prove themselves as worthy adversaries, but we cannot allow them to cross our borders. If we do not drive them off decisively, it would only make them try harder. So once again, make sure that none of their ships escape from the field of battle, he concludes plainly. And when you're finished, return here. Okay, let's check out the shipyard, and true to form, here is the Scarab. Surprisingly, it actually still costs something, despite the relative high value of our ship. But look at that vignette, absolutely gorgeous. Let's read the little blurb about the Scarab. The mighty Scarab is the last line of defense for the Polaris people. Only a handful of the vessels have ever been constructed, and they mount the most devastating ordnance that the Polaris can produce. 2 pulse lasers provide short-range firepower, while a photon emitter in the front, a Polaran emitter in the front mandibles fires a packet of coherent energy dubbed the Polaran torpedo. This ship is capable of taking on entire fleets by itself, and has done so on occasion. However, there are pitifully few of these proud ships, and the defenses of Polaris space is a heavy burden on their shoulders. So true enough, this comes with 2 capacitor pulse lasers, 2 Polaran torpedo tubes, 30 ammo, and 4 mantas. So we'll actually get to have a little fleet of our own. And what shall we call it? This is always the difficult question. We'll call it the Ory'Hara. Oops, it's a Y. It's a Y. There we go. We have the beautiful Ory'Hara. And we have to get our standard upgrades. We're not going to bother getting the Sigma upgrades just yet, because we want to take care of this mission right away. But even for a large ship, it is very maneuverable. And now, we actually have escorts. Look at these beautiful manta. They are a fearsome fighting force in their own right. So let's go to this neighboring military system and see if we can get some outfits. So if I also use the main weapon, it does take energy, But just look at it. Just look at this beautiful weapon. Absolutely fantastic. We have no afterburner as well. That's just great. We're gonna have to fix that. Alright, so this is the complicated world of Polaris technology, once you have access to it. Why are there two different ones here as well? Is this the non-improved one? Yes, this is the non-improved one, so we have to get rid of that. I don't know. Oh, I'm not able to buy it because we don't have enough money. We can buy the multi-jump organs. That has to be prioritized. There's also two versions of the Polaris torpedo tube because one of them allows you to fire while cloaked. It is slightly bigger though, so I'm going to have to think about if I want that or not. The Polaris torpedoes, they already fire at such a range that it's kind of unnecessary to be cloaked in addition. At least I think so. So we're going to have to think about that one. In the meantime, I don't think we even want a cloaking organ at the moment. A tunneling organ would be nice. Let's pick one of those up. We're going to have to save some money just so we can earn some more by doing some trading. But that's neither here nor there. This should be sufficient for dealing with the Aurorans. Let's go down to Nilkamoria and do what we do best. Having no afterburner is going to be a little bit tricky. We also need that horizontal booster and the like. I do love my turn rate, as everyone knows. Good turn rate is important. So we're just going to select something, press F. That way they're going to attack nearest. And we're going to do similar with our giant beam. And it works really well. And as you can hear, I believe there is unique dialogue for the escorts blowing things up. So let's see if I can be quiet long enough for that to be heard. There we go, commencing attack run. And I'm just acting as bait, essentially, at this point. Although I do have to be careful, again, we do not have as much hull as we would if I was an Auroran. Those mantas are fantastic, though, aren't they? I think I did lose one. Yep, I think I definitely lost one, but that's okay. That's kind of what they're for. So, that is the Scarab, in all its might and majesty. Alright, and I don't think there's anything here that we would need. Did I buy a fusion reactor? Because we also have an antimatter reactor, which is better. I did. Alright, get rid of that. Although having two doesn't hurt, especially when you have weapons that take large amounts of energy to fire. But this is fine. Let's go back to... And those are the Polaris torpedoes you see being fired off there. Let's go back and see what Antonio wants. Yeah, we do need to get the horizontal booster and vectored thrust. At least we have the tunneling organ, which makes the jump speeds a little bit faster. Alright. This time, during the battle, you became more involved in the ebb and flow of the battle than you ever have before, but somehow you retained control. Whereas before you seemed to lose all sense of self and started to become one with the fabric of the universe, this time it almost seemed like the fabric of the universe became one with you. In fact, just once, towards the end of the battle, you were able to see the link between the weaves of life and the universe itself. Only your conscious nature stopped you from using that link, as the power available to you in that moment was truly terrible. You almost frighten yourself with the thought that the universe could have been one with your will, but somehow the idea feels right and natural. You shake yourself out of your reverie as you guide your ship into the docking bay. You smile a small, empty smile when you sense the familiar presence of Master Arondo awaiting you. You see the solemn figure of Master Arondo awaiting you as you exit your ship. For a moment, as I was observing the universe, it almost felt like I was observing you, he informs you quietly, after you shake hands in the warrior fashion. The legend of Ory'Hara says that you have become the spirit behind the creation of the universe. After what I felt, I can no longer doubt you. You will become Ory'Hara. He shakes his head before quietly smiling, his face somehow full of sorrow. Looking at him, you suddenly notice that his weaves no longer seem so opaque. After a moment of wonder, you realize that you could defeat Master Arondo if you choose. I wish you well, he continues gravely, and I honor you, not only for what you have done, but for what you will do. I am no longer your master, as you have outstripped my ability to teach you. I will continue to watch your life as it progresses. I have no doubt that your deeds will resound throughout the galaxy. That's nice, Master Arondo. And I think that's what we're going to call the episode. So thank you very much for joining me. I hope you've been enjoying the storyline so far. I've definitely been enjoying playing again. It's been quite a while since I've done the Polaris campaign. If you're interested, go and check out some of the other storylines up on the channel. And if you like something in particular, please let me know down in the comments below. We're going to be coming up quick with the rest of the storyline, so just stay tuned. Until next time, no matter what you do, I hope that you have a good one.